Hey guys, welcome back to another Saturday where I'm talking about an episode of a superhero animated series. Today, I will be talking about the Season 1 episode of Batman Beyond titled Shriek. There will be some spoilage here, so if you want to go back and rewatch the episode before you finish listening to this video, I suggest that you do that. The episode begins with Derek Powers giving an assignment to Shriek, a scientist who used to have his own company, but was bought out by Powers. Powers wants Shriek to use his sound control equipment to assassinate Bruce Wayne, who is attempting to block a move Powers is trying to make to destroy the historical district of Gotham City. Wayne is injured just enough to be put in the hospital, where Shriek has somehow snuck a sound transmitter onto the bandage on Bruce's head. This causes Bruce to hear voices, which puts him in the psych ward, which will, in theory, prevent Bruce from gathering enough movers and shakers to stop Powers. Meanwhile, Terry goes to the old Bruce Wayne school of detective work by letting the computer do all of the work. He investigates Shriek, who begins tearing his home apart trying to kill Terry. Then Powers suggests that Shriek just become an evil supervillain full-time and just abandon his old life. Batman and Shriek get into a tussle, which ends with Shriek deafened by the sudden sound increase when Batman breaks his suit. Then Powers is defeated in the corporate setting. Cue credits. I am finding that this series sometimes does a really great job at making me feel like Terry is a substantial part of the episode, and then there are times when it almost seems that Terry doesn't have anything to do in the episode at all. For instance, episodes like The Golem and Heroes, Terry was barely a footnote in those episodes. Heck, the episode Meltdown barely had Terry in it at all, and I even liked that episode. But this episode seems to do everything just about perfectly. It introduces a new villain, it gives the audience and Terry a deeper look into Bruce's soul, and it gives Terry something to do. And take note, the episode does not have to be centered around Terry in order for Terry to feel important to the episode. He just has to actually have some kind of role to play. And in this episode, with Bruce sidelined and unable to assist in the way that he usually does, we get to see Terry do stuff that he's never done before, and sadly doesn't do again in the rest of the series. So I applaud this episode for that. Now, even though I said that this episode accomplishes quite a bit, it does fumble a little bit in a few places, mainly with the new villain Shriek. I've said before that in the span of 20 minutes, it is not easy to introduce a new guy and give him motivations and goals that make sense and also find some logical reason for him to be doing bad stuff so that he can come into conflict with Batman. In this case, the episode just sort of skips out on giving Shriek motivations at all. We're told that Shriek only ever really cared about his research, which I guess fleshes out this one-dimensional dude a little bit, and it's not just a case of hearing that but never actually seeing it. He is clearly passionate about his project that he is pitching to Powers, but my problem here is that when Powers tells him to go kill Bruce Wayne, he doesn't really seem to have any qualms with that order. And then when his life is allegedly ruined because of him trashing his home, the police would have had no way of knowing who it was in that suit, so it's not like the cops had Shriek dead to rights like he thought. Powers suggests that he just abandon his life as Shriek and become a villain full-time. Oh, okay, great idea. Nothing about, what about when I'm 65 and too old to be a supervillain? What then? Not to mention when Powers acts like he has come up with the greatest plan in the universe by telling Shriek to go forth and do damage, why exactly would Shriek do this? Powers just wanted Bruce Wayne eliminated, and Shriek basically had that covered at the hospital. So is Powers just trying to send a dude who is unprepared for the life of a supervillain out into the world, hoping that he will get killed and then Powers won't have to deal with him anymore? If so, that should have really been made more explicit. It's a cool idea, I think. It's something that I'd buy Powers doing, but I just need it to be a little bit more above the subtextual level than what it really is. Otherwise, it just reeks of writers not being sure how to end this episode, and so they decide to have Shriek become Shriek just because they need a good way to end the episode. And the end, I'm not even sure how I'm supposed to feel about it. On the one hand, it kinda sorta seems like watered down Twilight Zone. The guy who worked so passionately in sound design is now deaf. A sort of and I must scream trope in action. Except that I don't feel an ounce of pity for this dude after he so readily decided to become a hitman for Powers, and then later so readily accepted Powers' invitation to become a supervillain full-time. I get the feeling this episode wants me to feel sorry for the guy, but if that's the case, I definitely do not. Overall, I like this episode. It isn't the best written one in the series, but it's enjoyable and it's innovative. I didn't even talk about how the creators used Shriek's suit to mute all the sound in the episode for a brief period of time, which is just something that you would not expect to see in a cartoon like this. I hope you guys liked this episode, and I hope you guys liked this review. If you did, be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And if you did like this video, be sure to come back next weekend where I will be talking about an episode of Batman the Animated Series. And come back throughout the week to see and hear some of my other videos. Until later, hope you guys have a great rest of the day.